Hi, loving greetings to you. A special welcome to you if you're here for the first time. This is the Marriage Foundation, and we do things very differently. I don't have a background in Western psychology, and my background before I got into helping people save their marriages and transform their marriages was as a divorce mediator. It gave me a special advantage because when I shifted, and how I shifted was pretty interesting. I shifted because a couple who had gone through marriage counseling didn't want to get a divorce, so they asked me to help them save it. Knowing that I'm a communications expert and I have plenty of experience, I said, okay, I'll give it a try. So I asked my friends, the counselors, who sent me so much business, how shall I handle this? And they said, well, just listen to what they have to say, and if you have some ideas, and get into some of their background. And I said, okay, thank you very much. I wasn't satisfied with that. I wanted to understand marriage and what is the best way to help a couple, or even just an individual, have the best marriage ever. So I did my own research, but I didn't do it through books. I started to ask the question, why do people get married in the first place? And I didn't have that question immediately. It took me time to figure out that's the right question to be asking. Why do people get married? And then I didn't have the answer right away either. And I would ask people standing in line at Starbucks, I asked all my friends, why get married? Well, I fell in love. No, why get married at all? So finally it came to me. An answer that is universal. And it really opened the door for some tremendous insights. We get married in order to be happy. We get married to feel love. Well, those are quite universal. We live our lives for those same aspirations. We want to be happy. It's a spiritual path to seek happiness and love. So, what is the definition of marriage? I came up with my own. Marriage is an individual spiritual path that two soulmates take together. And then what I did was I used those as my pole stars when I worked with my first couple and with every other individual, every other couple. We want you to be happy in your marriage. We want you to feel love. Why we get married is why we learn to behave in the ways that create happiness in our marriage and love. And this is what brings us to the topic today, which is the 10 worst things, because this is the flip side, the 10 worst things a wife can say to her husband. And then I'm going to give you one great thing. So let's get into this. Hopefully you're already a subscriber. If not, now's a good time to hit the subscribe button. Number one, you did that wrong. Now, this is just one phrase, but it expresses a common mistake in communication. To tell your spouse, to tell your husband in this case, that they did something wrong, that they made a mistake, that they didn't know what they were talking about, because it's criticism. And we all know from our own point of view that we feel really good when people say to us, good job, or wow, you're so smart. And we don't feel so good when someone tells us, you're so dumb, bad job. And this has become common in the name of being open, of being honest, But in our marriage, open and honest, don't take a precedent over loving communication. To make your husband feel good. That should be what you want to do, because you want him to be attracted to you. He's going to be more attracted to you when you're saying very uplifting and very supportive and complimentary things, isn't he? And it doesn't make you false. It just means you're choosing your words. So bear that in mind next time you're about to be critical of something. Stop yourself and go, is this what I really want to say? Okay, number 2. I still think about Henry from time to time. He was such a good boyfriend. Whoa. Now, I don't know if you know Henry. I don't know Henry. I just picked a name. The point is, when your husband met you, he wasn't thinking, how many lovers has she had? How many boyfriends has she had? What is her experience? This is worldly thinking about how we see things in the world. All of us, in our essence, are very moral. We want purity. Morality doesn't mean condemning people for when they make a mistake. Morality means living on a higher plane, purity. And the moral commandments, they should be called suggestions, are there to guide us. God wants us to be happy. It's not a religious discussion, but he does. God wants us to be happy, and so he laid out a moral code. And then religions have passed it on, some with kind of an edge, others more lovingly. But the purity is something that we all want in each other. So it's not only unnecessary to talk about our past loves, it's actually very detrimental. Think about when your husband refers to another woman. Could be long ago in the past. And you could say, well, I'm not the jealous type. It's not about jealousy. It's about distorting this vision that your husband has of you, of a pure virgin who he married. I love the term reconstituted virgin. Because when you met your husband and you started going together and then courting, you started taking on a persona of this purity that he sought. Don't undermine it. Keep it there. Or you'll get his mind going, and it won't work to the best interest of your love, of your connection. Understand? Okay, number 3. You're not very good at that. Well, there's no need. If you say that and you came to visit me as a client and you told me you said that because this happened and that happened, I would say, yeah, well, you're not very good at communicating, are you? Because the purpose of communication in marriage is to express love, support. All of the attributes of love should be your communication with your husband. So when you go the other way, it's the other side of the coin, and you say you're not very good at that, you're condemning him. You're broad brush stroking over all the things that he is good at. So it's best never to ever say anything that is like that. Are you getting a sense of where this is going? Okay, now that leads us to something that comes up in marriages all the time, and that is parenting. And it is very naive to imagine that there is a universally good way to parent, or that men and women should parent the same way. That's absurd. The reason children have a mother and a father is because they can learn things from different points of view, including when to be disciplined, when to be guided, when to be reprimanded. All of that, men and women typically do it differently. Not that one is better. They're both important. And so when you say to your husband, you know, you need to read a book on parenting or something like that, or I don't like how you handled that with Timothy, or I don't like how you did that with her. She's a girl, you da-da-da-da. There are other ways to express things that may be helpful to your husband, but you don't have to pull the rug out from under him as a parent. You want him highly involved with your children, and if he's walking on eggshells, he won't be. So that's a very big area where women make a huge mistake. Okay, this is kind of along the same lines. Honey, not tonight. Let's schedule a time. And you know what I'm talking about. Just like you, just like women, just like people, just like men, rejection is very difficult. We are essentially souls, but we live our lives in our ego consciousness. Now, that's a deep topic. I'm not going to get into that in this particular video. But our ego is a combination of soul and the mundane, biologically driven drive to survive. And so all of us are very sensitive to rejection, especially in those areas where we wish to create connection. And sex is one of the greatest tools for creating connection between a husband and wife. And to undermine it in any way is not helpful and should be avoided. So there's no nice way to reject somebody. And sometimes you're just not in the mood. Not good enough. Not good enough. What if you needed help from your husband in doing something that was important to you, and he said, you know, let's schedule that, not now. You'll feel hurt. Sex is more important, generally speaking, for men, and so you need to be sensitive to that. Don't reject him. Maybe you could move the framework over, giving him hugs and kisses, maybe give him a little massage, but be all in. If he wants to connect with you and that's how he wants to connect with you, do it. And if it's not all he wants to do is connect with you, but get off, help him transition over to recognizing sex as an amazing bridge of loving communication. It's very deep. We've been so mistaught about sex in the world, and the whole women's liberation thing has completely distorted everything so far out of proportion, it's insane. We talk about it in my books, in the courses that we have for women. It's a very, very important topic because truly it's a place where marriages break down and we want to build yours up. Okay, number 6. Honey, we need to get a new car. Or honey, I planned a vacation. Or honey, I took care of this. So men, again, are very sensitive, more so than women sometimes. And when you're communicating with your husband, it's better to start off with discussions rather than with solutions. Never, ever start off your conversation with a solution. Always start off with a question, or I was thinking about, to begin the conversation. Much better results. Okay, number 7. This is a killer. You talk about pulling the rug out from under your husband's, his heart will sink when you say, we need to talk about our relationship. Well, first of all, you don't need to talk about your relationship. If you think your relationship is not moving in the right direction, then you need to be the one to do something about it, not talk about it. Because men and women see relationships, marriage, interactions so differently. There is no common ground on this plane of discussion. The common ground is on this plane of love. And the connection should be emerging of the two of you on the highest plane of love. Rather than talk about your relationship, learn about marriage. Again, subscribe to this channel, get my books, go to our website. We're nonprofit, so it's very, very relaxed. Learn about marriage, and then bring what you learn into your marriage to lift it back up out of the mundane trajectory and into that trajectory of ever increasing happiness and ever expanding love. Okay. Going back to sex. Number 8. I'm sorry, but this is true. You never try to please me. That is so loaded. Condemnation, criticism, not being good enough. There's so many rats in that. Doesn't matter how you frame it. I know how they try to do it in the world today, but it's wrong. The truth is that your relationship is more important than your physical gratification. And if you work on your relationship, creating more of a connection, not only will that physical pleasure become less important to you, but there will be more of it. It's kind of interesting. Very, very deep topic. But if you're there, it means you're not getting what you should be getting out of your marriage, and you're not getting what you should be getting out of your marriage because you're not putting into your marriage what you should be. I know the trend today is to blame the partner, but that ain't going to help. I promise you that. Okay, number 9. I've told you this 1,000 times before. Oh my God, you want to push your husband away? That'll do it. That'll do it. He may not react like he's being pushed away on the outside, but it's certainly affecting him on the inside. And number 10, are you interested in other women? Now, that question should never come up in your mind. You may have jealousy. That's something you need to work on, but that's not the problem here. The problem here is that your efforts should never be in extracting from your husband how he's feeling. You can't know. He can't know how you're feeling. Our minds are chambers within which the only one who could come in is God, and he'll only come in at your request. We have free will. We're individuals. And then you're asking your husband to express to you that you're the most important in his life. Well, make yourself the most important in his life. Make that your mission. Which brings us to the best thing to say. Is sort of the flip side of that. We're taught in this world We want to be loved. We want to be appreciated. We want to be told how important and valuable we are. That's what your husband wants too. Tell your husband, I love you. Tell your husband you're the most amazing man I've ever met. Tell your husband he's so handsome. Tell your husband that you love him more than the day you got married. Tell your husband that your heart just opens when you see him. Touch him. Smile. Be there with him. Be there for him. Be his everything. You see? You have so much power. You know, marriages are meant to make us happy. They're meant to fulfill us with love. But they require an operating manual. And we didn't get one. It's no one's fault. We don't even learn in school how to balance a checkbook. It's worth your time and effort to learn about marriage so you could become the most amazing couple who's ever walked the face of the earth. Visit our website. We have so many free offerings, and then we have so many affordable offerings. And if you're interested in becoming a marriage counselor the right way, the Marriage Foundation way, we even have a course to teach you how to be a good marriage counselor, great marriage counselor. I appreciate your coming by. I'm Paul Friedman. I founded the Marriage Foundation. God bless you. Take care.